Okay, guys, welcome back to Grunt Golf. Today we're going to be doing a new series. Started it a little bit on the shorts, but I'm going to continue it here. It's called basically Military Talk Mondays. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going basically through my military career to start with, and then we'll get some other people on to talk about some funny stories that they had. But figured, I got enough stories to buy us time until then. So, yeah, man, I figured I'd start with. Let's see, probably IBOLC. Drop a comment or a like if you want to hear about ROTC, but I don't really see ROTC being that exciting. I mean, yeah, I had some cool instructors, and I guess I did some cool things, right? But it really started all at IBOLC. And those for you who don't know, IBOLC is the Infantry Officers Basic Course. It's what all infantry officers go to as second lieutenants. And also, by the way, enjoy some of the golf in the background. This is the believe second round of Rock Hills. So, yeah, but anyways, IBOLC, it was an experience, man. The less it's changed since I was there. It's 211 Infantry. It's a training company, and the best part about it is you're right next to ALC, or the Advanced Leaders Course, where all the staff sergeants go to learn how to be staff sergeants. And so it's a funny mix of staff sergeants and second lieutenants that don't really know what they're doing. But yeah, man, I drove from Montana all the way down to Fort Benning, Georgia. It was about I don't know, 36-hour drive, give or take. It might have been more. I don't really remember. But took it in about 5 days. Military gives you about 6 days to get down there. Yeah, man, the drive was fine. I mean, coming from Colorado and Montana, the Atlanta traffic was pretty sketchy. But the first funny thing was I showed up to base, and, I'm a brand new officer. I don't really know what I'm doing. And I show up to base, and I go through the gate my first time, and I have my little E5 cadet card, and I go through, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here for, IBOLC. I'm in processing the next few days. And the guy scans my card. He's like, yeah, no worries, man. You get your new card there. And I was like, sounds good. And then he saluted me. And I was in full civilians. And I was like, how does he know? How does he know that I'm a officer? But I told him, right? So I panicked really fast and drove off without saluting because I was like, I don't know what to do, man. I'm brand new at this. So we got there. I lived in on-base housing. And honestly, I had a great time with on-base housing. My neighbors were awesome. I had a staff sergeant, a specialist, E5, and then a captain. That were my neighbors, and we didn't really talk with the captain too much, honestly, but we hung out a lot with just us four. We used to do barbecues any weekend that I was there. The downtown life in Columbus, Georgia is not great. I'll say that. It's just there's so many officers down there because you have all of basically OSUT with basic training, and then you have all of the Armor Basic Officers Leader course, and then you have all of the Infantry Officers Basic Leader course, as well as anyone who's going there for Triple C, which is the Captain's Career course. So it's a maneuver center of excellence. So basically all the maneuver elements are going to be on there. So there's a lot of testosterone down there, a lot of Army guys trying to get in fights, and it just wasn't really my scene. So I don't think I went downtown like a handful of times. So it wasn't really my thing. But anyways, yeah, we hung out, did a lot of campfires, a lot of drinking by the campfires, and IBOLC was a trip, man. I went during COVID, and the first few weeks really were just all classroom PowerPoints. But since it was COVID, we did it all from home. So I was really good little cookie at the start, and I used to, sit down on my computer, and I was paying attention, and I would give thumbs up when they were like, do you understand? But by I think the second or third week, man, I was like, this is trash. This is not what I signed up for. And boy, do I regret that. If I could go back, I 100% would totally have would have taken more time in the classroom, man, because we spent a lot of time in the field, and the field sucked. But yeah, so we basically the way IBOLC is structured, it goes classroom phase, qualification phase, and then basically field phase, looking at squad tactics, platoon tactics, and moving all the way up into company tactics at the very end there, where you do your long movement, and it's stupid. But Anyways, yeah. So the whole classroom portion, it was pretty interactive. It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of good stuff about calling for fire maneuvers and deconflicting air zones and stuff like that. Right. So that was pretty cool. Um, but it was just so boring, man. Just PowerPoint after PowerPoint after PowerPoint, and I'm sitting there in my little air conditioned unit in Fort Benning, hearing the planes take off because I lived right next to the runway, so I always heard those take off right at the top of Cardiac Hill. So if you know that hill, shout out to you. Comment if you ever died going up that hill, because I totally remember, man, with airborne school and IBOLC and all that stuff. That hill was grueling. But yeah, anyways, with the classroom portion, that was cool. That was done with, and then we got into our first, portion where we got to go shoot and stuff like that, and that was awesome. We did a 4 mile ruck, 6 mile ruck, 8, and then a 12 throughout the year. The first one was a 4. The 4 is just basically down Cardiac Hill, right next to the airfield, and then you take a left, you go up the hill, and then you're at all the ranges. And then we spent like a week at the ranges doing M4 qual, and then we did night qual, which is awesome. I'd never done night qual before, never used night vision goggles other than the advanced course I went to as a cadet, but I don't even know. We didn't even use those there, I don't think, because they obviously didn't trust us, right? Which is fair. But yeah, it was my first time using night vision goggles. I like all the other second lieutenants, except for the ones that had been in bat or were prior service. We're all staring up at the sky, having a good time, just looking up, being like, "Whoa, dude, this is night vision. This is so cool." And it's just the PVS-14s, right, man? It's like nothing. It's nothing cool. I mean, it is cool, but it's not, right? So that was a great experience. That was fun. It was a lot of waiting around still. But something I didn't know about Georgia in the winter is it gets super, super cold. So on those ranges, I went in January, and so by I think February, we're at the ranges, and it's cold, man. I mean, I was like, I'm coming from Montana and Colorado. I'm not going to be cold, and I was shivering, and I was trying to play it off, and then I quickly learned that the humidity sucks the life out of you. So props to anybody who survives the winter down there, because the ones up here are definitely colder, but that humidity, it doesn't, especially at Ranger School, it just kills you. So we got done with all of that stuff, and then we got the opportunity to volunteer for either being a saw gunner or a 240 gunner, and everyone's like, "Yeah, man, don't choose a 240. Don't do that. That's an awful idea." But I understood what I was getting into, so I volunteered for it. We were the weapons squad anyways, so I volunteered to carry it. I was squad leader. Got out of that. Was the armor and a 240 gunner, and I'll be honest, man, I loved carrying the pig. That was my favorite part. If I could go back and be an infantryman again, I would totally do enlisted, and I would totally be on a gun team. Because that was awesome, dude. I mean, it sucked carrying it around, and the ammo was heavy, and the tripod sucked. I mean, I would just ditch the tripod, honestly, if we went to combat, because screw that thing. But yeah, man, that thing was awesome. When you actually rip that thing, when we went to the qualification for the 240, me and my AG were intentionally missing shots so we could shoot it a little bit longer. And we went cyclic, obviously got yelled at for that, but 100% worth it. But yeah, man, IBOLC was it was really interesting because you had one captain as like basically the platoon leader, then about 4 staff sergeants or sergeant first classes that would be teaching you. And I was raised growing up through ROTC that you respected your NCOs. Like NCOs are the backbone of the military. You guys are great, nothing to you. And I respected everyone there, right? It's not like I didn't have respect for them, but it was also funny. Because what I learned after getting to the line is those weren't exactly the consummate professionals that I heard NCOs should be. Now, some of them were, right? Some staff sergeants and sergeant first classes and first sergeants were phenomenal, but there are some other ones that were just, beating up on the second lieutenants because they got beat up by a second lieutenant, so now they're giving it back, which is fair. Nothing against them. But some of them were great, some of them were not. I'll go into some funny stories about a few of them later, but yeah, we did the 240 qual, did the 320, we did the stupid CCMK paintball rounds. I thought that was so cool when we were going to do that, and then I got inside and got lit up with a saw as soon as I went through the door, and I was like, yeah, this isn't as fun anymore. And they jam in your gun all the time, and so that was kind of stupid. But we actually had a crazy thing happen on that range where somebody had accidentally put in some real rounds with that, and so that became a big deal. And the range control shut down the whole, I think, a whole of Fort Benning, and we had to go through all of our ammo, and everybody had to go through all their ammo and make sure that there were no live rounds in it. So that was pretty crazy, right? But we got done with that. It was actually a great opportunity because I got to sleep, because in the field, I'd say it was parts of it were definitely harder in Ranger School. We were sleeping like 3 hours a night. We had a guy named Captain Cole, and he was a monster of a walker. So he would walk us to death, and we'd walk at basically that pace right before you start running. We'd do that for miles and miles and miles, and the 240 wasn't fun to carry at that. But we did all that stuff, and then we got to the field, man, and the field was just the worst thing ever. It made me so sad. You know, I developed a little bit of an alcohol problem, because every time we went to the field, it was like, we're going to be here for a week, and then I get 2 days off, and then the field for 2 weeks, then I get 2 days off, and the field for another week, and it was just brutal, man. I mean, anybody who knows, February, March, April, May is like typical monsoon season for the South, right? So it was raining on us every single week, and so I was getting drenched every single week, and we did all the patrol bases to standard there, and it would take 3 hours to set up a patrol base, so we wouldn't go to bed till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then it's still raining. We had to get up and pull 33% fire guard, and it wasn't just 3 people on the guns. It was like no crap, like 33% of the platoon is up at all times, which I understand it, right? Practice how you play. I totally get that, but that sucked, man. I definitely developed sleep apnea from IBOLC. So that was awesome. And then we got through the field, just a lot of field stuff, man, just lane after lane after lane after lane after lane. And I'm sure I'll remember more stuff now, but I'm kind of just talking through the basics of it as I remember it. I think the only cool part, the part that I liked the most, was the mountain towns. And for anyone who doesn't know, a mountain town is basically like a mock village that they create, and has like a post office and a few residential areas, a mechanic shop, a hotel, an embassy, office building, stuff like that. It's pretty cool, pretty large. We had military compounds. We had a bazaar at Fort Benning. So it was pretty darn cool, all that stuff. And so that was my favorite part, is Battle Drill 6, clearing that. But I quickly learned that Battle Drill 6 is cool for training, but not really cool for real life. Because when I played Op 4, when I was done with IBOLC, waiting to go to Airborne and Ranger, that sucked, man. I mean, if I was ever in one of those Battle Drill 6 moments, like you're kind of assuming you're going to get shot, because those are close quarters, and I guarantee platoons are dying en masse if the platoon that was in IBOLC had to go to war just like that. But that was fun, man. Carrying the 240 was fun. We had a few. I take that back. Everybody in our squad was amazing except one lieutenant. I'm not gonna say his name, but it was Lieutenant Marine is what we're gonna call him, because that's kind of close to his name. But that dude sucked, man. I'll tell you what. He wouldn't ever carry the weight. He always complained. He always bitched. He always fell asleep on fire guard. So then our cadre would come in and yell at us, wake us up, and he'd be like, sorry guys. And the dude didn't have a car, so first 2 months we had to drive him everywhere, and it was just a lot, man. That dude sucked. He told me he didn't even want to be an officer. He tried to join the reserves, and it was a ROTC booth by mistake, and he thought he was doing ROTC, and then all of a sudden he wasn't, right? So that dude sucked. I'll talk about more about that dude later. But I think week 10 to 22 was all in the field, and it started off with squad, right? So we learned go to the field, you learn squad tactics, and then you go learn platoon tactics, and then you go learn the company tactics, and that was fun. And it basically culminates with a big company Califax, and they used to do where they bring the staff sergeants in, and they bring basic training in, and and they bring the company commanders in. You all used to do one big, huge culminating thing for everybody, but I think they stopped that a while ago. I haven't heard of anyone do that in a while. But yeah, it was fun. We raided one of the mountain towns, and it was one of those things where they drop you off, and then they don't pick you up for about 5 days, whatever it is. So you walk from uh, what is it called? Patrol base to patrol base. You walk from lane to lane. Each lane like 5 miles apart, so you don't interfere with any of the other lanes. And yeah, and then I think the culminating part of that is when you get your blue cord. But first, I really fast want to talk about just the worst week I've ever had in the field. I think this beats any Ranger School story. But yeah, we're out in the field. We just did our mission. I think it was raining. It was probably raining that night. But either way, we woke up. We did our mission. Go throughout the day, do 2 more missions or something like that. And then we had our phones in the field. And so my buddy pulled out his phone while we were on security because, don't lie, if you've ever been on security, no one's watching, you're totally laying down, taking a nap, scrolling on your phone, doing whatever. So he pulled out his phone and he saw it was going to rain that night. And we're like, that sucks, dude. We have a 14-mile road or 10-mile road march in the morning. Like, I just want to get some good sleep, but we're not going to. So we finished the lane and it's dark now. And so, we start walking and we keep walking and we finally get to our patrol base. And this place sucks. If you've ever been to Fort Benning, it's so beyond vegetated that like you can't get through anywhere. We couldn't make like a nice triangle. There's no way to step any guns with any real vision. It sucked, man. It was just the worst like spot I've ever been in. So we're all sitting there complaining. We're all tired and cold and wet. And so then they, if you don't know what RD sims are, they're the second worst thing on the face of the earth. Unless you get to use them, then they're pretty fun. But so then we get RD simmed, and we're supposed to run 300 meters, and then establish a new patrol base. And I think all of us, it was about the 4th day we had been in the field, and all of us were just completely sick of it by then. So basically, we said, "Yeah, dude, I'm good." We all just bitched there. And we were all basically saying like, "F you, we're not going." And I think they got the message because they didn't. They were like, "Get across the street and just make a patrol base there." So we go across the street. It's a lot more open. We're all kind of just sauntering, and the cadre are wet and cold too, so they get in their cars and drive away for a little bit. And we all sit down. No one's pulling security. The PL tried to do his job, man, but there's no way that was going to work. So me and my squad are just sitting down, eating MREs. We're like, this sucks, dude. Just like that shot until water sucked. And I sit down in an ant pile, right? I put my hand down in an ant pile. And if you're in the infantry, you do the roll cuffs. Nobody wears their blouse with the cuffs, buttoned. So I have my blouse, rolled up 1 or 2 because it's like heat cat 5 every day. Plus it looks cooler. So, look cool, feel cool, do cool things. And so I get bit by a bunch of ants, like all down my shirt and everything. So I'm already like beyond pissed because I'm soaking wet. I can't lay down anywhere. It's crowded. Then we come back, we get another arty sim at us, and they're like, "We're going to make you start marching, and, if you guys don't do what you're supposed to do." And so everybody finally gets in there, and we sit there the rest of the night getting rained on. And then at, I think 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning, we start our road march. But the thing about this road march is we had a time hack. We had to be at our next ORP, I think at like 8 or 9, whatever. I think it's 20-minute miles is standard, so let's see. Yeah, 3.5 hours. So let's say 4 hours to be there with water breaks and mandatory stops for, heat cat checking and all that. So we had to be there by like 8 a.m. to set up our ambush in place and all that. So we start walking. Obviously, I'm carrying the 240 I was carrying the tripod at that time with some ammo. And it's just somebody, like just one by one, people just start falling out because it's dark. And if you ever worn nods, you know that depth perception is not a real thing, right? So we're wearing our nods, and all of a sudden you just see the person in front of you disappear, and they fall down like a 5-foot, ridge with the roads washed out at, and you go around that person's hurt, they get taken out, you take their gear, so now you have more gear, and now you have more gear. And so I think by about 4 or 5 miles in, about 10-ish people had dropped out, like as a mass call for all intents and purposes. And so I'm carrying like the medic Skegco, I'm carrying the tripod and a saw at that point. And people just keep falling out. And whoever's stuck there just keeps carrying more gear. And we're doing that like a 20 to 30 minute pace, man. We're not even remotely where we should be. And It was awful, dude. That was the only ruck I've ever been close to actually falling out of. I pride myself on being a pretty good rucker, but that one was just awful. And so we finally get to it. We see this little post that says 10 miles, you're done. So we're all like, oh, thank God. And then we hear an arty sim. And I don't think I've ever been more mad in my life. So all screaming like, F you, I'm not going. And they're like, keep moving. And so we all get back on our feet because we're all sitting down. We all start, doing the little hobble, airborne shuffle, like 100 yards. And we all start walking again. And there's no cohesiveness to the unit anymore. There's no, formation. We're all just gaggling down the road and we're getting yelled at and everybody doesn't care. So we get already simmed again because some people are sitting down, then more people fall out. And by this time it's like 7:40, and we have to be in place in the ambush in 20 minutes. And so we do another 2 to 3 miles. I think it was 14 miles total. So we do another 2 to 3 miles, basically do a huge loop back to where that 10-mile sign was. They're okay, you're done. And that was, like I said, that was as close as I've ever been to falling out, man. I mean, I was struggling behind. I was probably about 100 yards behind. And me and the platoon sergeant at the time were talking with one of the cadre members. And I was pretending I was talking with them. Like, man, go catch up. And I was like, okay. So I'm hobbling. And I basically caught up by the end. But we established our ORP. And then we go out to do the ambush. And like, nope, it's too late. You guys missed your time hack. We're going to set up another ORP. So we got screamed at about how if we don't hit our time hack, people die. And, we don't want people to die. So hit your time hack, that whole thing. So we then, after about 2 hours of a break, we walked to our next ORP, which is probably, give or take 2 miles down the road. Nothing crazy after what we just did. And so we all get into our ORP. It's another place you can't see crap out of, nothing at all. Like those bushes on the left you see right there on the screen. And so we keep walking, and we get there. You can't see anything. We set up our, patrol base. It's dense, so we'll all have our phones out, hanging out, because we're all like, dude, I'm done with this. This sucks. And then it starts raining again, and it starts lightning. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. It starts, lightning and thunder. So we all get told to go basically get away from that and go stand on the road. And we're all like, it's so cold, dude. It's so wet. And so what we did is we saw the airborne bay that was right about 100 yards away. And we're like, we're going in there. I don't care if we get yelled at or not. We're going in there. And so we all run over to there, get in there. It's nice and dry. If you've ever been in there, that place is like 100 by 50 yards, something like that. It's huge. So we're all just laying down there hanging out. Of course, one of our cadre members comes and yells at us. And he's like, you can't be in here. Airborne needs to be in here. This isn't your property. And we're like, dude, it's lightning. There's not going to be any planes in the air. So eventually they kind of just, were like, whatever, dude. You guys hang out in here until we're ready. And so we hung out there until the rain stopped, and did our last mission at our last objective, and then fired the red star cluster called Index, and walked down to the buses to be rescued. But that was a long week, man. That was just 1 week in the field. I mean, I'll probably have a few more stories. I need to go look back at, all the stuff I did there. But that was just one story of just the worst time. Probably next time I'll tell you guys about the IBOLC story about the time we got blown out of our patrol base and had to walk about 5 miles through the woods back. And then I'll probably cover, that last ruck to get the blue cord, what getting the blue cord was like, going to the infantry museum, graduating. And then after that comes the waiting game, which was awesome. Did a lot of waiting at 211 Infantry. But that's all I really got for you guys. You can see the score there. Honestly, not too bad. Didn't finish how I wanted to, but I'm a 17 handicap, so what are you gonna do? But yeah, if you guys like this, definitely like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me get this content out to more people, and then I definitely want to eventually start getting other people on to tell their stories. Might try to get a few IBOLC or platoon leaders on that I served with just to get their take. I'm trying to get my first sergeant on that I did recruiting with, but I'll let you know. You guys have a good one, and I will talk to you later.